learners. Welcome to a series of lectures on structure of atom. In this series of lectures, I'm going to take you through the structure of atom from the times of Democritus to Schrodinger. It's a very long journey we're going to go through. In this session, basically, in this series, these are some of the players, the major players in the story of structure of atom, and they will be figuring at different stages in our story here. And to make a beginning, what basically we start with is, we start with the concept of atom as it initially came. It's called as atomism. Atomism basically refers to the concept of atom coming up over there. And initial accounts historically we get from Hindu philosophy. Sage Kanad proposed that atom is the indestructible part of matter. Basically, this idea of atom came from a thought experiment wherein they visualized that if you keep subdividing matter, what will happen? That means if I take a piece of matter, say a copper wire, cut it into 2, then into 4, into 8, 16, 24, 32, and so on and so forth. I keep dividing it endlessly. Eventually what happens? Eventually what happens is I come to a state where it becomes no more divisible. That means that becomes the smallest part of matter. So that is the concept of atom. That is, it's an entity which constitutes all matter and it is the smallest part of it. That is the concept which came from Sage Kanad. Then he also went further and say that atoms are eternal, which basically means that atoms have always been there, they are there, they will always be there. That means they are endless, they will never go away, they will always be there for that matter, they are eternal. Then another thing which we have is what Rishi Kanad proposed was that the atom exists in two states, what is called as an absolute rest and the state of motion. And also, very interestingly, it is the literature reveals that they did talk about that atoms can combine to give you Divyanuk and the Trianuk. That means diatomic molecules and triatomic molecules. That is very, very interesting because historically, in that time and domain, basically it's about more than 2000 years back. This concept of molecule also has been proposed from the Hindu philosopher. Going further, it is very, very crucial again, that is the concept of atomism as proposed by Sage Kanad was that the atoms differ quantitatively as well as qualitatively. So these are the basic premise of the concept of atom as it came from the Hindu philosophy. And the timing of this actually is still not fixed as yet, because historians are still working on it, because certain accounts tell that this was about 600 BC. That means about 2600 years plus back. And some accounts dated to about 300 BC and so on and so forth. So exact date of this concept coming up there is not finalized as yet, but this account stands, and now it is getting recognition also. Prior to this, I'm sure that you have learnt about Democritus and things like that. We will talk about that as well. But this, from Indian soil, the concept of atomism was proposed by Sage Kanad, and this is now getting recognized. Okay, coming to what you are familiar with, that is the concept of atom, that is again as given by the Greek philosophers Democritus and Leucippus. You would have learnt about that Democritus gave the concept of atom. That is fine, that is the way it is always reflected in the books and all. But if you look into literature, the history tells that actually this concept of atom was initially proposed by Leucippus, and Democritus was his student, and it is Democritus who actually formalized it, and that is why it is known in terms of, that is, the Democritus gave the concept of atom. Actually, now history, that literature reveals that the concept actually was given by Leucippus but was formulated by Democritus. And again, the concept remains the same as Indian philosopher has given, that is, atom is the indestructible part of matter, that is the smallest part of matter. And this word atom came from atomos. Atomos means uncuttable. So that is the word, that's the etiology of this word atom. Further, as I just mentioned, that this was initially proposed by Leucippus and formulated by Democritus. Now, according to Democritus and Leucippus now, we can say that the concept of atom can be visualized as, means the atoms are indivisible, that is discrete. Also, they are invisible, that means they are too small in size that they are not visible to the naked eye. Then they are solid, that means there is no void inside the atom. Atoms are solid pieces of matter. Then they are eternal because it is perfect. That's the way, again, it's the commonality between Indian thought and the Greek thought. That means the atom happens to be eternal. This also is a commonality over there. Further, it is surrounded by empty space. That is another thought which come from Greek philosophers. And this is important here, having an infinite number of shapes. That means they differ qualitatively. That's where there's a difference between Indian thought and the Greek thought. Indian thought, as I told you earlier, that is, Indian thought believed that atoms differ quantitatively as well as qualitatively, whereas Greek thought that they differ qualitatively. Okay. Now, both these counts are basically philosophical ideas, because there was no experiment per se performed to come to this conclusion. They were just, you are sitting under a tree or maybe just thinking about it, you're doing meditation, you're just thinking. In your thoughts, you're doing an experiment, and this is a consequence of that. I mean, it's basically a philosophical ideas are there. Then this concept of atom thereafter was there for centuries, because a lot of places, because if you go into literature, which I don't want to do right now, there was a lot of opposition to the concept of atom, and there was some favor also. And all said and done, this concept of atom survived for more than 2000 years. Because these concepts, as I told you, came about 400 to 500 BC. From there to about 1800 AD, these concepts survived. And it was revived by Dalton. Dalton in 1803 revived this concept of atom. Again, you know is Dalton's theory of atom. Now, the difference between what happened prior to this, that means what happened in the philosophical foundations, and now what Dalton is proposing, proposed for the matter, the difference is the initial propositions were purely thought experiments. And now, when Dalton proposed the concept of atom, it was based on scientific basis, because a lot of experiments were done prior to that, and Dalton proposed the concept of atom based on the experimental facts there. So it was a scientific proposition, and previous ones were philosophical propositions there. Okay. Now, again, the concept remains the same, that atom is the smallest entity of matter, that is indivisible and discrete. And just to mention of this, that Dalton's theory basically visualizes concept of atom as, that is, all substances are made up of atoms, the smallest particle of matter, that we all know very well. Also, it tells us that all atoms of the same element are alike and have the same mass. That means it's very, very important here. And the third important proposal of Dalton's theory was that atoms combine to form compounds, and a given compound always consists of the same kinds of atoms in same proportion. That means irrespective of where do you take water from, it will consist of one atom of oxygen and 2 atoms of hydrogen combined in same ratio of 1:2. So that is the basic premise of Dalton's theory of atom. And this was about early 19th century, that is 1803. Some books tell it about 1808 as well. Okay, so that's the time, somewhere in the early 19th century, this was proposed. And then again, a lot of scientific endeavor happened thereafter. And towards the end of the 19th century, that is in 1897, J.J. Thomson discovered electron. You know, you have learned about this in your school, that cathode ray experiment and all. So Thomson discovered electron. And now you see that this 100 years, almost 100 years, from 1803 to 1808 to about 1897, so about 90 years down the line, we found that atom is not indivisible, it has an internal structure. So Dalton proposed that atom is indestructible, smallest part of matter which cannot be further divided. It took about 100 years to find that atom is not the smallest particle, it can be further divided, because there was an electron which is a part of atom. That means there is something more to the atom over there. So atom is not the smallest particle. So it took about 100 years to come to that conclusion. And based on this idea, Thomson proposed a model of atom which you know pretty well, what's called as Thomson's model, and what you know it as plum pudding model. And nowadays some people talk it in terms of watermelon model, because this is a little easier to visualize there. So basically what happens is, in this Thomson's model, what was said is that all the mass and the positive charge of atom is represented by the pudding here, or the pulp in the watermelon over there. That means the pudding here in the and the pulp here, they represent the mass and the positive charge, and the negative charge electrons are embedded like plums in the pudding. These electrons you can see there, or as seeds in the pulp over there. It is just that in case of watermelon model, there are too many seeds. You may not have as many electrons in an atom, but that's fine. But basically the concept is like this, that there's a bulk which consists of the mass and the positive charge, and the electrons are embedded in that. So that is the model of Thomson. Going further, we just take up the major milestones in this journey of atom. And the next milestone came from the experiment of Giger and Marsden. Basically, you are familiar with this alpha ray scattering experiment. We call it as Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment. That is fine, because actually again, if you look into literature, you find that this experiment was performed by Giger and Marsden. They were the students of Rutherford. Rutherford actually was working on radioactivity. He was studying the behavior of alpha particles and different kind of radioactive particles. How do they interact with the matter and all. So that was his main work. And his students, Giger and Marsden, attempted an experiment wherein they took a radioactive source. From there, alpha particle stream was created, and that alpha particles were made to fall on a very thin foil of gold. And what they observed, that means this, and what was observed was that these alpha particles, they passed straight through this, and they were collected by a photographic plate. This circular one is a photographic plate over there. So you find that this intensity is very large over there. That means most of the alpha particles went straight through the gold foil and was collected over there. But some of them got deflected by small angles, some got with larger angle, and some could even turn backwards there. So that is an experimental observation which was there by Giger and Marsden. And then, because basically at that point of time, it was known, the only atom, the model of atom was known was that of Thomson. So they tried to see that how do we account for this kind of observation on the basis of Thomson experiment, Thomson's model there. We found that from Thomson's model point of view, so there is a positive charge and the mass of atom over there, and these are electrons over there, negative charge electrons. And alpha particles, you know, are very heavy, positively charged particles. So as we expect from Thomson's model, we will expect that all these particles will pass through straight. There will not be any kind of a deviation or deflection from the path over there. But this is not what is experimentally observed. Experimentally it was observed to be different over there. So we find that Thomson's model needs modification, because Thomson's model doesn't confer to the experimental observations of Giger and Marsden. Then, but since this experimental result was there, they worked on to interpretation of that one, and that interpretation came from Rutherford. Rutherford visualized that the alpha ray scattering experiments results can be explained by assuming that all the mass and charge, positive charge of the atom is confined into a small tiny nucleus over there, and electrons are outside of this. And then this is a possibility, because when the alpha particles comes, they will pass through straight, most of them will go straight, and some of them which come very close to the nucleus will get deflected by certain angles, and the ones which are somehow able to strike the nucleus will turn backwards over there. So with that kind of a proposal, the results of alpha ray scattering experiments were explained by Rutherford. And basically the bottom line here is, that is, Rutherford gave the concept of nucleus. That means that nucleus contains most of the mass and positive charge of the atom. is a positive charged particle, nucleus, that contains most of the mass of the atom over there. Okay, based on this, we know about the Rutherford's model. So Rutherford basically said that the mass of the atom is contained into a tiny nucleus which is positively charged, and electrons are outside that one. But there was a problem with this. Problem was that because electrons are negatively charged and nucleus is proposed to be a positive charged particle, so the electrons will be attracted to that, so it will not be stable. Then he suggested that the electrons are not just out over there, they are moving around in different, moving around the nucleus, outside of the nucleus. And then there's electrons all around the dense nucleus containing all the positive charge and most of the mass there. That means the nucleus contains all the positive charge and most of the mass, and electrons are moving around the nucleus over there. And then we also know that even this model as proposed by Rutherford could not stand scrutiny, because because nucleus is a positive charge particle and so is the electron. So if a charged particle is moving around like this, it will lose energy, because law of electromagnetism applies over there. So it will be giving out energy, the energy will be lost and as radiation, and eventually the electron will spiral into the nucleus in a very, very short time over there. What it amounts to saying is that the nucleus is not, that is the atom is not going to be stable as proposed by Rutherford. So we need another model over there, but prior to that it's important to note that Rutherford's contribution in terms of the concept of nucleus is well recognized. So this is about $100 note from the Bank of New Zealand, because he was a New Zealander. So $100 note puts his picture over there to give him recognition there. But it's very, very important. It's very important to note here that this concept of nucleus, which Rutherford gave in about 1911, till today there is no challenge to that. It sustains, it stays there. Okay, so that is the biggest contribution of Rutherford. However, he got a Nobel Prize in 1908. Was it 8 or 18? I don't know. And the prize was for investigations into the disintegration of the elements and the chemistry of radioactive substances there. I mean, he didn't get Nobel Prize for giving the nucleus concept over there. It was more for radioactivity, because that was his main domain of work over there. Okay, so we have started our journey from the times of Democritus and Sage Kanad, and we come down to Rutherford's model, and we find that the Rutherford's model is not sustainable, because according to this model, atom will not be stable. But we know that atom is stable, so that means our model is not correct there. So we will talk about the next model which came up there, that is Bohr's model. But prior to that, we would like to talk about what is called as the concept of quantization, because Bohr's model used this concept of quantization. So we need to know about what is this concept of quantization, where did it come from, why did it come from, and then how did Bohr use it to give his model of atom over there. So that will be done in the next session. Thank you very much.